Hey everybody, it's Blue Lizard Jello, and welcome back to another episode of Everything Possible in Dark Souls 2, and today we are taking a look at more of the DLC. We are deep into Dragon Sanctum, and we're going to take out this priestess so we can begin our adventure. Now from a distance, these priestesses can be taken out pretty easily. However, beware when you get up close because they have AoE and they have projectiles. Not something you want to mess with. Not only that, but when they die, they can also release a poison cloud that can poison you very, very quickly. Now our goal here is to get the ghosts away from us so we can actually climb this ladder and we can actually go and take out their armor before we actually try to loot any of these corpses here, and it'll make it a lot easier on us. We are going to just run past all these enemies. There's a priestess and a ghost in there, because down this hallway is where all of the Sanctum Knight armor resides. So we can come in here as long as we're careful, and we can destroy them all, or at least almost all of them, and come back for more later. That's not what I meant by careful. That was too close for comfort. There are plenty of areas for you to retreat to. Keep that in mind. There's nothing wrong with that. And nor is there anything wrong with a little archery play from time to time. Except when they return the volley. One Sanctum Knight down. Now hitting that button, which you don't have to do with a bow like I just did, that will open a door within this room that will allow you to backtrack very easily. We actually ran up to that door earlier and it was closed. And another knight down, and we might as well take out the priestess while we're here. So there's the doorway that opened up. If you remember the last episode, we did see that door previously. Inside this trap chest, we'll get 5 Lloyd's Talismans. Which, if you are having a hard time with some of these Sanctum enemies, understandable, because they do heal up. Well, you can now use the Lloyd's Talismans to prevent that from happening. We do have a few more ghosts, so we haven't destroyed all the armor just yet. But if you can lure some of them away, it does make it a lot easier to run in there, wreck their armor, get out, and then you can pick them off one by one. Which is exactly what I intend to do. Should only be 1 or 2 more. Or 3. And that should now mean that all of these Sanctum Knights are now human, so to speak. So we're going to take a couple of them out from range, but then you can see that one of them just died, and we'll show you exactly how that happens in just a moment. It's actually fairly easy to pull off. Kind of like the bolts that I'm wearing on the side of my arm. I feel like they were a neat accessory. Pick up the Sanctum leggings. And a little bit later we'll see exactly what else they can drop, or at least we'll talk about it. They can drop their armor sets, but there are a few other neat items that they can drop. Now with this last enemy, they're really not too careful about where they stand. So you can knock them off, or if you just stand on the corner, oftentimes they'll just walk off. We got the Eternal Sanctum Key, which we'll use at an earlier part in the level, and we got the Sanctum Knight Helm, another piece of their armor. And now we have a few more items to loot in this room. In this iron chest, we'll get the Bloodbite Ring +1, which will give us an extra 300 bleed resistance. Now, not only do these spikes hurt, but they also break your armor, so I definitely recommend that you get rid of them before you get these items. This button will open up that door on the far side. And then, in a clever spot to hide a button, up on the ceiling, with my parrying dagger, this is where the spikes can be retracted. And we can get ourselves some torches. We can run into this room. We can grab ourselves 3 Twinkling Titanite, 5 Holy Water Urns, a human effigy, and then in the room that was previously hidden, we'll get the Dragonstone, which is a necessary part of the DLC. You cannot complete it without picking up the Dragonstone. Unless you're a speedrunner and you found yet another glitch to item/parry walk your way around. But just play the game. Now you can see this button that I'm shooting at just beyond this wheel. You can shoot it from up here. The problem is, you also have to then run down so you can shoot it again. The other option is to actually use a thrown item with splash damage, like a firebomb or like the Holy Water Urns that we just picked up, which is what we're going to do now, just so I can show you that it does work. That way we don't have to keep running up and down the ladder. Just lob it over there. Area of effect is pretty large, you shouldn't miss. And then inside this iron chest, we can pick up Second Chance. I mean, Denial. But it's really 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So this spell will give you the opportunity to try again, essentially. When you take a fatal blow, if Denial is active and it is a timed spell, you will actually come back with 1 HP, so you can try again. So as long as you're not in immediate danger, you can get around, you can heal up, and you can try again. So we hit that button to open up a wall right across from this ladder. That will lead us to a hidden bonfire. However, another quick note about Denial is that it will not protect you from death against fall damage. Do not think that this is a way that you can make jumps that would otherwise kill you. Sadly, that doesn't work. Grab ourselves a Sanctum crossbow. Very interesting crossbow, because if you've seen what the Sanctum Knights can do with it, you will know that if you use the strong attack, it can actually fire dark bolts. They also have a repeating crossbow that you can only get from killing the Sanctum Knights. It's a drop. Unfortunately, we don't get it in this playthrough, but it's not all that uncommon. You want to be prepared for this next room, because once we use the Eternal Sanctum Key, immediately on the other side, as my Homing Soul Mask decided to give you a sneak peek of, we do have a pair of priestesses. And you can see they're using Scraps of Life. Kill the first one. There is another one down to the left, but there's lots of loot in here that we're going to want to take a look at. There's Scraps of Life almost taking me out. But lots of chests to go over. Unfortunately, 4 out of the 5 contain the same item. And in this chest, we have 1 dried root. In chest number 2, we get 2 dried roots. Chest number 3, can anyone guess what it holds for us? No, not 3 dried roots, but 5 dried roots. And in this chest, well, it's actually something different. This time we get the lightning clutch ring. We'll get another dried root in the next chest, but the lightning clutch ring will increase lightning damage from any weapon that has innate lightning damage, any weapon that's been infused with lightning, and lightning miracles. Now we did just pick up the Sanctum Priestess Terrara, which we're going to take a look at in just a moment here. If you want to read the description, pause the video. This has a very interesting attribute in that when you wear this, Profound Still will not work on you. So if you're a caster and you're worried about people using Profound Still so you can't use your spells, wear the Sanctum Priestess Tiara. It does increase your intelligence, however, you can still cast your spells even if they try to stop you from doing so. And yes, that means that you cannot use Profound Still on the Sanctum Priestesses. All this chattering, bunch of noise. However, these bugs can drop a few different items, and one of the more common ones that they drop is actually Golden Fruit Bomb. Which this, like the other bombs, increases one of your stats, and in this case, it's Faith, +5. At the top of this ladder, because FromSoft loves ladders, we have the Sanctum Shield. Sanctum Shield is like the Disc Chime, as you know, one of my favorite items in the game because of just how unique it is, but the Sanctum Shield can cast sorceries, miracles, and hexes with its R2 attack. Very cool. Yes, I just slid down 1 ladder too many. I'll realize my mistake in a moment. There it is. Because what we want to do is head across this bridge. And because I know it's about to happen, I do buff up, because as soon as we get about halfway across this bridge, we're going to run into an invader named Rockshield Baldur, who, frankly, is no joke. He will throw Lloyd's Talismans at you so you can't heal, and he does some significant damage, and sadly, because of the armor he's wearing, you really don't do all that much damage to him. However, as long as you keep him at range, and you use terrible spells like Soul Vortex, and then you stand still and take his hits, well, he's really not that bad. Oh wait, no, he is that bad. Especially if you do all those things I mentioned. And especially when he's able to deftly dodge your attacks. And there's the anti-healing Lloyd's Talisman. And at this point, I should have just kept running, because my health was so low, and I knew I couldn't heal. But he didn't have much health left, so if I just, instead of standing my ground, had just kept running back, then this wouldn't have happened. And my mother would still be proud of me. Well, I think it's time we sped things up a bit. I wish I knew how to talk really fast. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember the Micro Machines guy from all the commercials who could talk really, really fast, like faster than an auctioneer. But if I could, I would talk like that right now. That'd be fun. But I can't. So instead, we'll just collect some poison moss, kill these priestesses, kill some bugs at the top, and we'll try it again. Here we go. I just love all the different buffs that sorcery has to offer, because you look so cool. Yeah, if someone sneezes in your general direction, you're probably going to die. But as long as you can get past that first sneeze, you can do some damage. And I do take the Peach Bonfire just so I know that if I die, I'm gonna be alright. Fortunately, I have a bit of an upper hand because, well, NPC pathing around holes is pretty derpy. Speaking of derpy, what an awful spell. Both of those. Goodness gracious, I really need to take those off my rotation. And that's it for Rock Shield Baldur. But alright. So we'll hit this obelisk because there's some items down on the elevator that we want to pick up. You can wait to get them after you kill the first boss, or the first optional boss, or the only optional boss. But I decided to show it to you now, just in case I'm not able to kill that boss and I have to edit in someone else's footage. I wouldn't do that. Or would I? So step on the button, and as the elevator goes down, you want to look to this side and just walk off as soon as you see the platform. Pick up some torches from here, which no one really cares about. However, run down this hallway, down the stairs, and there's a hidden room underneath. And inside said room, there's an iron chest with the Dark Greatsword. Similar to the Soul Greatsword, except that it not only has a shorter blade swing, but it also fires 2 projectiles. So if you can connect with the sword swing and the projectiles, it does a lot of dark damage. Trust me. It's nice. But I'm not a hexer. So we will take on the optional challenge area, the Cave of the Dead. Not going to summon any of our friends here, although arguably they have their uses. Now there's not too many enemies to deal with unless you count all of the curse statues. And if you're talking about the curse statues, then there's way too many enemies in this next area. I did stock up on firebombs specifically to help me clear this area. May not be a bad idea for you to try that technique too. Gotta love Soul Spear and its ability to pierce. Now the optimal hold to drop down, in my opinion, is this one right here, and the reason is, it puts you furthest away from all the enemies. You can hop down, get to relative safely, and then you can pick them off at your leisure. You can also take some cursed spit to the face. Now if you want to bypass the area altogether and don't care about any of the items in there, then you can just continue down the path we're in now, and you can basically head straight to the boss. However, because this is a 100% video, we're not going to do that. No, no. We owe it to ourselves to explore. Firebombs, a cheap and very effective way of clearing out these statues without any risk of durability loss. Although, if we did lose some durability, we could just go and whip a tree, as strange as that sounds. The only problem is there's no lock-on and, well, darn it, fire bombs can be just a tad inaccurate. Or at least I can be a tad inaccurate. Trust me, if you want to make this area a lot easier, or the DLC in general, bring along a bow. You'll thank me. Or you won't, but you'll still be grateful. Or you might not be. But in that case, you're a jerk. I would just give up. Two more enemies pretending to be asleep. Other than that, we will be mostly free and clear to loot this area. Take that, statue, by yourself, guarding nothing. Now, there are a few different sconces down here that you can light with your torch if for some reason you find it too dark. It really doesn't seem all that dark to me, but I don't know, maybe I have good night vision, if that makes sense. Hiding in this corner, we can get ourselves 3 bonfire ascetics, and we can stop caring about that statue that's clearly not going to die. Always good to attack if there's a bunch of them, though. If you just skirt around the edge, you'll find all the items in this area. But if you want to waste time, then, see if you can destroy all of the statues. See if there's an achievement for it. Maybe a hidden achievement that no one knows about. There's not, but good luck. And here we have a couple of bright bugs. Now, you can buy bright bugs from Melentia. They start at, I believe, either 3,000 or 6,000, and they increase in price and get restocked anytime that you defeat one of the great ones in the vanilla game. However, you can pick up 2 for free, and these increase both your damage and your defense drastically. Very, very useful items to have. In this iron chest, I was really hoping for something a lot cooler than the 3 petrified somethings that we pull out. Beggars can't be choosers. I just never realized I was a beggar. That's all the items for this area. So we'll go ahead and we'll run down this hallway. Not this one that we first dropped in. We will hop down and we'll continue on towards our first boss fight. This room down here can be about as safe or as dangerous as you want it to be. It all depends on how you handle it. If you try to run in guns a-blazing, it can get pretty hairy pretty quickly. If you learn to pull with a range attack, it's not so bad. Just one more Sanctum soldier to go. I decide to risk it for the biscuit and not heal up. But I figure I can just take him out. Hooray for non-peach strats. By the way, peach is kind of synonymous with safety or even chicken strats if you are in the speedrunning community. Not that I am, but I watch a lot of it, so I kind of pick up some of their lingo. I've immersed myself in that community, if you will. Actually, even if you won't, I still do. It's really not important to kill these statues. Now we do have another Razorback Nightcrawler. Not a big deal, because as you know, you can just stand to their side and you're completely safe. Don't even know why I ran away there. And just a couple more of these poison statue carriers. And just a couple more of these curse statue holders. And just a couple more of these curse statue carriers. And then one more item to get before our first boss fight, which is lovingly referred to as the Gank Squad. Don't know where I was aiming there. I do know. It was off to the right somewhere. Now in here, this is a bit of a troll. First off, the item's not worth it. Grab yourselves your learning cells and get out of there. That curse buildup is very quick to stack. In fact, if you saw my previous videos where I went in blind, I did actually become petrified in this area. Time to buff up and get ready for the Gank Squad. Now, a lot of people have criticized this fight as simply being FromSoft's way of making things more difficult by adding more enemies. And I agree and I disagree. I think it's a very unique fight because essentially, for those of you who don't play online, this is very similar to Dark Souls 2 PvP. You can often run into Gank Squads, unfortunately, and you have to find a way to focus on all three of them at the same time and be very, very situationally aware. I like this fight. It's difficult, it's challenging, it's a bit drawn out. However, I have fun with it. There is a tactic where, other than the archer, you can actually position yourselves behind some of these stalagmites, and you can actually prevent yourselves from getting hit. And from there, you can do jumping attacks, and you can take out the other two, other than the archer, kind of at your leisure. Now, I'm not going to show you that tactic in this video because I think it's very boring, but if you want to see it, check out some of the speedrunners on Twitch, and you'll see it in action. If you need the names or links, let me know, and I can put them in the description or put them in a comment for you. But my goal, always, is to take the archer out first, and I think you'll agree. There's just something about having those great arrows launched at you and stunning you and knocking you flat on your back that just doesn't seem like a good idea to be happening while you're trying to fight two other melee characters. However, if you can line them up on that bridge, go ahead and chuck something that pierces right through like Soul Spear, because that's just free damage. And I know during the last fight of me taking out these guys, some of you were yelling at your screen that I should just parry them, just parry them. Well, hopefully towards the end of this fight, you'll be happy. I mean, just look at that arrow. That can't feel good. Running to this ledge is always a good idea if you need to heal. It's one of the... that arrow. It's one of the safest places to heal, in my opinion. Very close there. One more hit and I was a goner. But a nice strat too to separate them and to get them off your back. Hop down into the water, roll through it, and then right behind this pillar you should have enough time to heal. However, I also need to find some time to get some of my spells back. But before that, we take out Sarah. He is gone, no more arrows being launched, and now we just have a couple of melee characters. Still dangerous. You can still lose this fight very easily by becoming overly confident. But I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for you. I didn't die to this boss. No. Too pro. Also, I'm very surprised to find out that with the Havel-like character's leaping attack, his poise seems to be greatly lowered. It only took a few of those Homing Crystal Soul Mass projectiles to actually stop him from jumping, which was a godsend. It's a lot of rinse and repeat, guys. You've probably seen this fight done 100 times, or you've fought them 100 times, and you probably killed them a lot faster than I do. And for that, I am sorry. Not sorry enough to speed the video up, though. Because again, I do enjoy this fight. This is my tactic, and, well, my tactic works. I didn't say it was the most efficient. I've never claimed to be the most efficient at this game. Finally, I decided it's time to use an Amber Herb so I can start using some of my more damaging spells, like Crystal Soul Spear. Especially once I get another buff of Crystal Magic Weapon. Always nice when you can line them up. I like that he rolled out of the way when I ran at him. That was true terror in his eyes, you could see it. Alright, 2 down, 1 to go. And now, it's time to get dirty. That damage. Sorry, Varg. You're done. If you parry these guys, the fight is much faster. And for a reward, 3 Twinkling Titanite, 3 Petrified Dragonbone, yet another Titanite Slab. Boss number 1 is defeated. Get some Blackweed Bomb here, and then in this chest, we get the Flower Skirt. Now the Flower Skirt does actually increase your Vigor by 2 and your Endurance by 1, and also has a very, very beautiful flowing appearance. But that is actually going to do it for this next episode of DLC content. So if you learned something, please leave me a comment below and let me know. If I missed something, you gotta make sure you leave me a comment and let me know that too. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed. And we will catch you next time when we delve deeper into the Dragon Temple. We can go find our friend Elena and maybe even have a run-in with Sin the Slumbering Dragon. But until then, I'll see you guys next time.